I'm Gus. I'm a dog. I don't know much about podcasts, but I know a lot about Mike Baker. He talks into this microphone all the time. Sometimes I try to chew the cord. He says it's important work. Honestly, it smells like peach monster and ambition. But I've seen what goes into it. Late nights, big ideas, quiet moments when it's just him and the page. Writing, leading, making music, trying to give people something real to hold on to. Some days he looks tired. Some days he wipes something away from his eyes, but every day he shows up. This is his podcast. Still here, still trying. And it's for people who are still doing the work, the quiet work, the hard work, the good work. So yeah, he's my human, and you're gonna love what he has to say. This is Still Here, Still Trying with Mike Baker.
Hello and welcome back to Still Here, Still Trying. This is Mike, and we are on episode 8. This episode is for the quiet work. This one is about the kind of work that doesn't show up in a chart or a dashboard. It's the kind that nobody claps for, but you just do it anyway because it's true and because it matters and because it's yours. I was away this weekend. It was a family trip and it was just beautiful. We laughed, we were together, but underneath that there was just a lot going on in my head. And I wonder, do you ever feel that? Do you ever feel like you're showing up just fine on the outside, but something underneath is trying to speak? It's not a breakdown. I wasn't full of drama. It was just a buildup of emotion that needed a place to land. And so one night after everyone went to bed, I couldn't sleep. So I opened up my tools for creating and I just let it spill out. There were already a few lines circling in my head, and from there I started shaping the song, writing the emotion and just kind of feeling it out. And then I built it inside my tools, and it was really kind of cool because I didn't have a plan. I just it was just one of those raw moments where I needed to get something out. It was just the truth that I couldn't carry any other way. And I remember thinking, nobody's going to hear this. This might actually just be for me. But I kept going because sometimes what shows up when nobody's watching, that's actually the real work. We've built a culture where everything has to be seen to matter. If it didn't get posted, did it even happen? If there's no proof, no audience, no reaction, was it even real? We're all swimming in it, the performance, the pressure to package every moment into something presentable. And I get it. I fall into that too. There are days when I create something honest and my first instinct is to ask, will anyone care? Will this land? Or should I even share it if it won't get a reaction? But honestly, here's the thing. Some of the most important work I've ever done, nobody knows about it. Nobody's heard it. Nobody's seen it. There's no post. Obviously, I'm not on the stage. There's no numbers for me to track. It honestly, it's just me doing what needed to be done because it was right and because it was real. I've shown up for people at their absolute lowest, and no one will ever know. I've stayed late to rewrite a hard email so it felt more human. I've walked through times of grief that never made it into a song, a book, or a podcast. Not everything has to be visible to be valid, and not everything that matters shows up in your highlight reel. That quiet work, it's not glamorous and it won't trend, but it shapes you. It teaches you who you are when nobody's looking. It builds integrity, it builds endurance, and it builds depth. Because when the applause fades, when the metrics crash, and when nobody's watching, that is honestly when it becomes clear who you really are. And there's a kind of peace that comes when you stop chasing recognition and start choosing alignment. When the reward is knowing that I showed up the way that I needed to, I stayed in integrity with myself. And that's where the freedom really lives, not in being liked, but in being rooted. And the truth is, a lot of what matters most in this life won't be loud, it won't be public, and it probably won't be convenient, but it will be real and it will change you. So if you're in a time in your life where you're doing work that nobody sees, the kind that doesn't come with titles or trophies, just keep going because that work still counts. And honestly, maybe it counts more. So let's talk about leadership, not the kind that gets celebrated, but the other kind. The kind I know all too well. It's the kind that happens behind closed doors, the kind that doesn't go in a strategy deck. It's the kind that costs something and no one even knows that you paid for it. I've been in rooms where the quiet decision was the most important one, where protecting somebody's dignity meant staying silent while others speculated, where the best move wasn't the boldest, it was the one that made someone else stronger. And you know what? That stuff doesn't get awards, it doesn't get retweeted, and it doesn't go viral, but it matters. And there are moments in leadership where you make the right call and it looks like nothing happened because you prevented the storm. You stopped the fracture before it broke open and you took the hit so your team didn't have to. And that's leadership. And it is heavy, it is thankless, and sometimes it's lonely as hell. Most of the real leadership that I see, it's not showy. It's not in the title or the speech or the rollout. It's in the way someone checks in after a hard meeting. It's in the one on one that no one knows happened. It's in the restraint, the holding back when your ego wants to take the mic, the staying when everyone else leaves. And yeah, it costs you something. Sometimes it costs you sleep. Sometimes it costs you favor, and sometimes it costs you visibility. But that's the job, and that's the real job. So I'm not here to sell some shiny version of leadership. I've been doing this long enough to know that it's not always about charisma, it's not about optics. It's about consistency. It's about courage and it's about character. And here's the hardest part: you'll do some of your best work, make your best decisions, become your most grounded self, and no one will ever know. Not because they don't care, but because good leadership often makes things feel smooth. It makes it feel uncomplicated, like they were just something that was going to work out. But you and I both know what it took. So if you're leading right now and you're tired and you're wondering if it even matters, please know that it does. And if you're making choices that nobody claps for, but they keep the culture whole, they protect people's trust, and they move things forward without breaking anyone in the process, then you're doing the kind of leadership that this world needs more of. And yeah, you might not get thanked, but that doesn't mean it isn't holy work. It is. So let's talk about creation, not the kind of creation that you plan, not the rollout, not the campaign, but the kind that just shows up when something inside just needs a way out. I make music, I write, I create art, and sometimes I put it out into the world, and sometimes I don't. I've got songs that live in private playlists. I've got cover ideas that never became albums. I've got images that I built in Midjourney that felt like truth in visual form, but I've never shared them. And they weren't made for an audience. They were made to hold something, a moment, a mood, a memory, something that I couldn't put into words, but I could create. And I think that kind of art matters just as much and maybe even more than what ends up in public. We forget sometimes that you are allowed to make things that aren't for anyone but you. You don't have to monetize your healing. You don't have to justify every creative impulse with a purpose. You don't have to turn your emotions into a content plan. Sometimes I make an image and just sit with it. No caption, no post, just me looking at something that feels like what I couldn't say out loud. And that's still art, that is still creation, and that is still sacred. And the thing is, using AI doesn't make it less real. I'm not outsourcing the feeling, I'm giving it shape. It's still my lens, it's still my story, it's still my hands on the keys trying to translate something internal into something visible. The same way I write lyrics, the same way I build these episodes, the same way I lead quietly, intentionally, behind the scenes. There's a whole body of work that most people never see. And it's not because it wasn't good enough, but because it wasn't made to perform. It was made to process, to honor something real, to stay grounded when everything else felt too loud. So if you're making something right now in your sketchbook, your notes app, or your garage, your Google Drive, or you're just wondering if it's worth it, even if nobody sees it, I want to say this clearly. Yes, it's absolutely worth it because you are worth that space to create something honest. You don't need an audience to be an artist. You don't need anybody's permission. You honestly just need to give yourself permission to be open and to feel. And maybe that's something that just starts with you. Maybe you feel that emotion and maybe you decide to create something with it. And it's something that you're going to remember the rest of your life. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was something that's hard to admit. It actually feels really good to be noticed, right? It feels great to hear someone say that meant something, to see the numbers go up, to watch something land the way that you had hoped it would. And yeah, that hits. But when that doesn't happen, when the thing you poured yourself into gets silenced, that's honestly that's where it gets real. Because now it's not about the outcome, now it's about you. Some of the work I'm most proud of didn't go anywhere. Some of it I thought it was really cool, but it got no reaction, no traction, no audience. But I know what it cost me to make it, and I know what it held. And that's where I've had to shift from chasing approval to knowing that I told the truth. And that's it. That's the line. Not did they like it, not did it perform, but was it true? And there are nights I create something, I close the document, and I sit in the dark for a second and just let it be. Not everything needs to be shared, not everything needs to explode. And sometimes the work is just for you to process, to stay grounded, to not go numb. And sometimes the growth isn't loud. It's not a launch. It's the fact that you didn't run from the hard part. You stayed in it, you stayed soft, and you stayed honest. And maybe no one clapped. Maybe no one even knew, but you know. You were there, you did the work, and you didn't flinch. And that's the version of you, the one who keeps showing up without needing the noise. That version is getting stronger. That version is building something that's absolutely real. So, again, if you're creating, if you're leading, if you're healing, if you're showing up and nobody sees it and no one says thank you and no one validates the effort, just know you're not doing it wrong. You're actually doing it right. And you've got to keep going. You don't need claps to be whole. You just need to keep telling the truth. And here's an example. This is something that I did. So last weekend, I was out of town and the whole family was there. It should have been a joyful, light, grounding time. And in some ways, it really was. But there were a few things that I couldn't fix. There was some stuff that I was holding in my head that slipped back in when I didn't want it to. And I felt myself drifting. I was there, but not really. It's that feeling when you're trying so hard to be present, but something inside you just keeps folding in. It's quiet and you don't want to make it about you, but it still hurts. So, like I said before, that night after everyone went to bed, I couldn't sleep. And so I opened up the tools that I had and I just honestly I just let my soul open up and I let it start spilling out. I didn't think about structure or whether anyone would hear it. The stuff that was coming out, I didn't necessarily write it for the next podcast or the next release. I just needed to figure out how to survive that moment. And honestly, it was so powerful because that moment, that is what became the first song that I wrote. It's called A Song Nobody Hears. And once that one came out, man, it was like my soul just opened up. The others just followed, and they followed fast. Like they'd just been waiting for the door to crack open. So there are 5 songs on my latest release, and each one came from that same place. They weren't, again, they weren't curated, they weren't planned. They were just true. They were just me processing a whole bunch of junk in my head and trying to find a way to get it out. The first one's the song that started it all out, and it's called The Song Nobody Hears. It's the ache of invisibility. You show up, you give your all, you do the work quietly, faithfully, and it just doesn't seem to land anywhere. Anybody feel like they're hollowed out? Like you scream, but you're scared to shout? That whole song is me in the car after trying to stay strong for everyone else, realizing that I'm holding pain that I don't know how to name without sounding ungrateful. There's another line that says, "You give your best year after year, still singing a song nobody hears." And that line is for anyone who feels like they're fading slowly but still refuses to disappear. The second track, The Voice Is Mine, this one came from the feelings of the backlash that I sometimes feel for how I make my art. AI assisted, non-traditional, fast, unfiltered, and that judgment is loud. But honestly, here's the thing. Just because a tool helped carry the weight doesn't mean that the weight wasn't real. Another lyric in that release, it says, "You think some code gave me this line about nights I begged just to feel fine?" I wrote this in defense of the way that I survive, of the way that I process. This ain't a gimmick, this ain't a mask. It's the only way I don't break. It's messy, it's loud, but it's mine. And I needed to say that out loud. Track 3 is called Unseen, Unheard, Still Here. This one is for the people who post their truth into the void, who upload something raw and watch it just get swallowed. For the painters, the poets, the leaders, the parents, the partners who keep showing up without applause. That book I wrote, that line I loved, that felt like God, but wasn't enough. This song is grief and defiance held in the same breath. I may be small, I may be tired, but I'm still in it, I'm still on fire. It's for anyone still fighting to stay human in a world that rewards the algorithm over the age. The fourth track is called Who Would Notice? And this one, it honestly, it cuts quiet. It's the slow question that creeps in when you've been pushing and giving and trying, and you start wondering if any of it left a mark. I just want to feel like my weight shifts something, like my shadow stays when I leave the room. That one line cracked me open the first time I wrote it. This song isn't about needing attention, it's about wanting to matter. And the scariest part is realizing that if you vanished, some people might just adjust. There's another line that says, "If I vanish slow, like light at the end of a hallway, would they squint, would they reach, or would they just adjust?" That's what this song holds. And then the fifth track closes it all out. This one's for me. It's not a battle cry, it's not a self-help anthem. It's just me claiming space on a night that I felt small. This one's for me. No mask, no spin. No crowd to chase, no need to win. It's the song that I needed to write so I could keep showing up. No polish, no plan, just truth. No repost, no edit. just truth. I put it last because it's what I came back to. After the doubt, the ache, the frustration, the digital silence, what's left is just me. Still here, still trying, still making music that I needed, whether it lands or not. So I hope you enjoy the new release. These 5 songs are not meant to impress. They're meant to hold something that I couldn't carry any other way. They're for the late nights, for the private spirals, for the moments when you want to disappear but you choose not to. They're for the creators who keep making, the leaders who keep showing up, the quiet souls who haven't been seen in a while. They're for the version of me that just didn't give up, even when the room was loud and I felt like a ghost in the middle of it. They're for you, if you've ever felt like that too. And yeah, I left all the language in it, because sometimes fuck is the only word that fits. I didn't drop these for numbers, I didn't schedule a campaign, and I didn't overthink the rollout. I just needed to say them out loud, and so I did. And if any part of this hits you, if you've ever needed to make something just to stay upright, then maybe these songs are now yours too. So thanks for letting me say all of this. I'm still here, and I'm still trying. I'm still writing songs that nobody hears, but maybe one of them just did. I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful week.
Everyone's laughing, the night moves on, but I'm locked inside, holding on, thinking of them and holding tight to all the shit I can't make right. The ride home's dark, my songs play low, I'm right there but they don't know. They didn't ask and I sure as fuck won't beg, so I just drive and hold my breath. Anybody feel like they're fading slow, like you're here but nobody knows you show up real, then disappear, still singing a song nobody hears. My boys are grown, they're doing fine, and God, that fills me with pride. But this house don't echo like it did before. Fuck, I miss their voices in these walls. I smile and nod, say I'm okay, but some nights I just fucking drift away. Anybody feel like they're hollowed out, like you scream but you're scared to shout? You give your best year after year, still singing a song nobody hears. It's all in here, the love, the fear, the shit I wish they'd see in here. I'm not a brand, I'm not your feet, I'm just a man who fucking bleeds. I leave my truth in every chord, the things I'll never be thankful, the weight I carry quiet still, hoping someday someone will. Anybody feel like they're close to gone, like the fire's lit but it won't burn long? You give your all through sweat and tears, still singing a song nobody hears. Maybe one day they'll press rewind and feel the life I left behind. This ain't for claps, it ain't career, it's me in a song nobody hears.
I've been spilling my guts in these lines for years. They judge a method, not the man. Like I ain't the one with a heavy heart. Like this pain didn't damn near tear me apart. You think this melody's fake? That I didn't shake when the hurt hit late. You think some code gave me this line about nights I beg just to feel fine? This ain't a trick, this is how I breathe. Every fucking word, every scar you see. You don't have to like the way it's made, but don't you dare say it ain't my name. I wrote this shit from a sleepless mind, from quiet nights and borrowed time. You could call it fate, go stand in line. I'll still be here saying the voice is mine. I paint, I write, I bleed these songs and still get told I got it wrong. Like I didn't sit in that empty room trying to turn this ache into something true. They scroll right past like it's just noise, but fuck that, this is how I stay poised. I ain't a product, I ain't pretend. I'm just a man with shit to defend. This ain't a gimmick, this ain't a mask. It's the only way I don't break. You don't have to clap or hit rewind, but don't forget, the voice is mine. I wrote this shit from a sleepless mind, from nights alone and years unkind. You can call it fate, but I'm still here. I lived it, I bled it, the voice is clear. You didn't see me come undone, didn't hear me pray for anyone, didn't feel the shit I lost, still trying to make this pain worth the cost. So say your piece, I'm still right here, still carrying every fucking fear. If a tool helped carve this fight, it still came from pain and truth and fight. I wrote this shit from a sleepless mind, from quiet rage and running blind. You can hate the how, but not the line. Say what you want, the voice is mine. And it always fucking will be.